Hey guys, Philip with Trade Genius. We're going to kind of go over Bitcoin, but I'm going to show you how well the swing indicator is working. And if you guys want to get this swing indicator, we got 1 day left on this special. We've slashed the price. It's now $4.99. And if you get this package 2 here, it's going to get you that signal. And that's for a year. So let's jump into this video. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about.
Trade Genius.
It's Saturday, so I wanted to give you guys a quick update on kind of where we are with Bitcoin. There's been a lot of talk on the interwebs about, cartels and price suppression of Bitcoin. And while it's true that that's entirely possible, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that the moment the CME futures went live, if you remember the CBOE futures, Chicago Board of Trade, their futures went live about a week before the Chicago Mercantile Exchange futures went live. The Chicago Mercantile Exchange, CME, that's a much bigger contract, and that's what the big boys play with. So that was here at the top, and when those went live, that was the top of the market, and it came down. So a lot of people's are wondering, is that the reason why? Price manipulation or price suppression? It's certainly possible. At the end of the day, you have to have physical Bitcoin to drive the price down. And what was came about recently was, if we look at this exchange here, I'll bring this tab up for you guys. OKX. Okay, so they're a overseas exchange. They're in Hong Kong. They identified a group of users that were basically just shorting like crazy on the exchange, on their futures exchange. And what was happening was, as you can see here, they identified a number of users performing unusual transactions to manipulate the price of BTC quarterly futures contract, making it greatly deviate from the BTC index. Based on our team's investigation, the user closed a huge amount of positions at market without considering the costs, causing it to drop to an unusually low level. And we'll disclose the transactions details later. So, what they ended up doing, long story short, is they enacted circuit breakers. So the new rules is, if there's a price limit that deviates by a certain percentage, they're going to basically circuit break the markets. And you see this in actual futures markets. They'll do that. They'll freeze the market up so that it can't be happened. So what this does, this keeps them from just running with reckless abandon. So if that was a group of people or a cartel, if you will, then they were accumulating cheap Bitcoin on the way up. They may have even been trying to do this on the way up here, but the buying was so ferocious that they had to buy back in, which creates a feedback loop and you start going up higher and higher. But at some point, the buying activity dries up. Now in this area here, as we get into January, this is typically a seasonally weak area. In the past, we've generally rebounded by this time and then have resumed a move higher. So in this case, we've just been dribbling lower. Now, were they operating just at OKX and basically then arbitrage bots across all the exchanges all over the world were just kind of trying to keep pace with the pricing? That's we'll see. But it'll be interesting to see if what they do there affects the price, and if we see these short waves come in. This really all happens at very technical levels. 11,700, we had a big cup and handle. This thing had everything going for it. We had another resistance level here at 11,700 basically, which not only failed multiple times here but also failed here. That's a double failure, and you very rarely get a triple failure. And depending on how you look at this, you might even say that you had multiple failures here, so you could have had, you could have called this a quadruple failure. But in any case, these sell waves come in at very technical levels. So we'll see if that changes anything to the upside. Now, with that being said, basically where we are at today with Bitcoin is a down channel. Okay. And right now we are just hanging on to this linear trend line here. So it'll be interesting to see if we can bounce from this level. If we do bounce up and we take out yesterday's high on the daily candle, that's pretty bullish, because whenever we get into a price channel like this, I like to see a mid-channel reversal, and those tend to precede a breakout of the channel. So if we do make a higher high, so yesterday's high was 72.75. Okay, so if we break that, which coincides with some resistance at 7,300, if we can break through that, then we're going to see what the bears do at this upper trend line here. But generally, mid-channel reversals, high probability, most of the time, they'll precede a channel breakout. So we'll see how that lines up. You can see on the 4-hour chart, we had a descending wedge here. So you want to keep an eye on these formations on all time frames, but we had a 4-hour descending wedge that broke out. And it was more of a formation breakout. In reality, we've kind of gone sideways. And now we also have what we would call a bear pennant kind of forming. So we'll see. We're also getting kind of overbought on the Stokes here at on the 4-hour. So, but we do have a 4-hour buy signal. And the 4-hour swing signals, guys, on our swing signal indicator, you want to pay attention to those. You see it fired here, and eventually we rolled over. The last time it fired here, and we had a nice little run up to that was the bottom of the channel that was forming to the current top. So we've had another one, and I pay attention to these because they do tend to signal a decent amount of movement in the price of Bitcoin. So keep an eye on that. Also, the swing signal indicator on the 15-minute, you can see it here. It fires here, a decent move there, fires here, decent move down here, fires here, decent move up here, and fires here, starts of a move down here. So, this thing works really well, and it doesn't matter what kind of market we're in, bear or bull, or if we're chopping, like in this session or this segment here, we're chopping. But you can make money long or short on Bitcoin. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and I think that right now the immediate outlook is that I would pay attention to this 4-hour long. Again, we're running up to resistance at 7,300, which these wicks here have started to approach it. We got to over 7,200, so we were less than $100 away from 7,300. The other thing is this momentum moving average. That usually will come up and get tested and run into some resistance, and then breaking through that, then you'll go ahead and test this slower weighted moving average, which we use of 65. So, excuse me. So, basically looking for a test up into this area, but bears right now are pretty powerful. So these resistant levels we could see another pullback before another test higher. This might take 1 or 2 tests to break through, but bears are definitely in control. So respect those levels as the sellers come in. So there you have it, guys. Kind of an interesting bit of news coming out with those OKX futures. I mean, definitely some manipulation going on there. Whether or not the measures they take tends to or will affect this continued selling pressure that we're seeing, we have to wait and see. But right now, looking for this 4-hour bull signal to see if we can get a bounce back across to this upper part of this channel. One last thing I want to show you guys is, I think ultimately whatever this thing does, as you can see, we've kind of fallen out of this pitchfork that we're drawing. This is kind of like the trajectory that's kind of been held since last year, 2017. But I don't think we can really get excited at all for any type of bull party until this is a logarithmic chart. So this log trend line, I think, is just the steel lid on this thing right now. And also 2 will be the 200-day moving average, which is actually going to be crossing past that. So there's a lot of work cut out for the bulls if they want to get this thing put a bottom in. And right now, volume-wise, we're not seeing anything real spectacular. I will say this though, the stochastics are getting in oversold territory, so we definitely could see a bounce up, but we can't expect too much more other than something like this right now, and then look for the next resistance level, which that may come under, coincide with this logarithmic trend line on the downside here. So we'll see. We'll update this as things progress. But so things are shaping up. We could get a quick bounce here, but if you're swing trading this, just be very cautious. Move your stops up. And if you are looking to short, then your short levels, like we talked about, would be 7,300, and then after that about 7,800. So, all right, guys, there you have it. Hope that helps. Please hit like or subscribe, and thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Trade Genius.